A devastating attack over the weekend in Australia. 15 people were killed, including a child, after two gunmen opened fire during a Hanukkah celebration on Sydney's Bondi beach.
It was the deadliest shooting in the country in decades. Take a look at this video that was captured during the shooting. You can hear the gunshots ringing out, and you can see hundreds fleeing across the beach. Very disturbing footage. Now, at least 42 other people were injured in the chaos. That's according to officials, alleging the shooters were a father and son duo. Now, the 50-year-old father reportedly shot and killed by police during this altercation. His 24-year-old son has been wounded and taken to a hospital.
Now, during the shooting, a bystander rushed one of the gunmen and wrestled his weapon away from him. Ahmed El Ahmad is recovering in the hospital after later being shot. This photo coming from New South Wales Premier Chris Minns, who called Ahmad a real-life hero and thanked him. He even received some praise from Trump. Take a listen.
In Australia, you probably read it's been a very, very brave person, actually, who went and attacked frontally one of the shooters and saved a lot of lives. So, very brave person who's right now in the hospital, pretty seriously wounded. So, great respect to that man that did that.
Meanwhile, the Israeli Foreign Ministry has confirmed that an Israeli citizen was killed, but didn't give any further details about that. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded to the shooting over the weekend, criticizing the Australian government for recognizing a Palestinian state. He said, quote, "4 months ago, I wrote a letter to the Prime Minister of Australia. I told him, your policy encourages terrorism, it encourages anti-Semitism. You call for a Palestinian state. You are essentially giving a reward to Hamas for the terrible massacre they committed on us on October 7th. You are legitimizing all these rioters, and you are not lifting a finger to eliminate these centers of terror. This will lead to more murders. He did nothing. We know there will be more attacks."
Now, Australia has experienced a threefold surge in anti-Semitic attacks in the years since the October 7th, 2023 attack in Israel. In response to the shooting this weekend, police have been posted outside of synagogues across the country, and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese condemned the violence.
So yesterday was an act of pure evil, an act of anti-Semitism, an act of terrorism on our shores in an iconic Australian location, Bondi Beach, that is associated with joy, associated with families gathering, associated with celebrations, and it is forever tarnished by what has occurred. We will do whatever is necessary to stamp out anti-Semitism. It is a scourge, and we will eradicate it together.
Early this morning, thousands gathered on Bondi Beach to pay tribute to the victims.
Just horrifying. Obviously, the footage of that bystander, Ahmed Al-Ahmad, confronting the gunmen, saving lives, amazing act of heroism, being rightly celebrated by everyone. In so many of these mass casualty or shooting events, I know a common reaction people have is, why didn't someone, go up and throw yourself at the shooter? It takes tremendous courage and heroism to do that. The body's response is to shut down, to hide, or even to freeze in place. So to have the presence of mind, and he snuck up on him. He waited till he was looking the other way, and he grabbed the gun. So terrific behavior. I know the police response so far has been criticized for being slow, for the police being slow to confront the shooter. Obviously, it's still too soon to adjudicate exactly what if anything could be done better. But another in a time of rising anti-Semitism. Frankly, a number of these stories we're talking about today touch on potentially anti-Semitism. This one, very obviously, anti-Semitism. So thoughts and prayers for all affected by it.
Yeah, I think it's a terrible thing. It was a targeted attack, very obviously.
Right.
I think when I heard about the 10-year-old child being killed, that's another deeply saddening thing to hear. But anybody that was there, when you think about yesterday being the start of Hanukkah, for many people and their celebrations, and people this time of year, what it means to anybody of any background celebrating. It's mostly positivity and togetherness. It's time of gathering when you haven't seen people you love or you have likeness with for a while. You get together, and this is what was happening in Bondi Beach. And to see that people had that much hate in their heart, a father and son duo, which is even more disturbing, that a relationship like that, that's so coveted, a parent and their child, both came together and said, let's go commit this heinous act together, is tragic. But like you said, the man that jumped into action is a hero, and there's so much to look at here. And when you look at Australia, they have some of the strictest gun laws in the world. And so this is not something that slipped. I know there's going to be a conversation around how to make gun laws even stricter. It's even been brought up by it's been brought up by the Australian leadership already. And I'm like, well, there's not much you can do, because if the father owned a gun in the state, I think lawfully, but the son had been looked at before by Australians' version of, let's say the FBI or some intelligence agency that looked into his behavior in the past, and they deemed him not to be a threat.
Right.
And so it makes, as we release information, it makes me wonder, what were the reasons that you were looking into him? How did he become deemed to not be a threat? And then how do we go back and figure out how to correct those cracks? Because every time that there's a shooting in the country, we look at how to take away the guns or change the laws in that regard, but we never look at how many steps they had to take to purchase the gun, or mental health, or anything else that goes with it. And I hope that this conversation doesn't just turn political, even though it's Australia.
That's
and we're having
political. I mean, that's the way Democrats and liberals are going to talk about this, as how could gun laws be tweaked or adjusted to stop these kinds of things? Australia can do whatever it wants. I'm very skeptical that more additional laws on the books in the U.S. will do anything. We could enforce the laws we already have more vigorously, and that would deter crime. It wouldn't stop the kind of mass shooting events necessarily. But what many on the right are going to be discussing is, the elephant in the room, that this, as an example of Islamic extremism targeting Jewish people, something that is increasing, and the immigration questions that raises. Obviously, I don't know the exact circumstances of these people or their background quite yet. That's being looked at still, but the people of an extremist foreign religious idea coming to a country and perpetrating violence against Jewish people for that reason is something that many on the not just on the right, but many on the right consider to be the actual problem here, not guns.
And I think that the condemning of anti-Semitism almost, or if not immediately, is the first thought coming out of most leadership mouths, is the correct tone to take. I think that with Netanyahu's response, pointing blame, I don't know that you draw that exact direct line when many nations around the world are saying that there should possibly be a two-state solution for longevity in that region of the world. And so I think that there's two conversations that are going to happen. And I talk about this all the time in our own country when a shooting or an incident happens, even whether it's high profile or a local politician being hurt, and immediately anyone goes to, here's what you could have done better. Yeah. I think that that's not the right tone to take. And I think that we should just figure out, first of all, like our president did, praise the hero, Ahmed, that moved forward and tried to tackle the victim, and then talk about the fact that nobody should be feeling unsafe during a time of spending time with loved ones, particularly from any community that's been feeling unsafe in our country for a long time. Mm-hmm. Up next, a deadly shooting at Brown University, and the suspect is still at large. Don't go anywhere.